Hello and welcome back to the Entertainment Roundup. I'm J77 and I'm doing this live here through one of my favorite diners slash stores right across from the cafe I normally do my live podcast. I got a couple of stories I want to get to, some of the stuff I want to talk about, but before I do that, I might as well give you guys a little bit of heads up of the upcoming J&J Mondays podcast. It's going to be revolving pretty much like a PSA episode, but I feel under the circumstances that has been going on in the last a few weeks, I felt the need to talk about this on a more personal level. And that is pretty much basically the incident that was happening, the sad loss between China and Prince, and the controversy that seems to be now surrounding their death. There's no question that there's a lot of suspicion that they've died from a legally prescribed medication, which have led to a lot of people speculating. A lot of people are already throwing rumors out there before even the toxicologists have. And as I'm hearing this on 1010 Wins, as I'm hearing this on many television shows and many radio shows, including sports shows. Yes, there's is that kind of a controversy. One may have to ask a few things here. Is if they wasn't stars, would we actually make a big light of this? And should we make a big light of this? And the answer is yes. A lot of stuff has been happening, especially within my area, the tri-state area of New York and New Jersey, that they are trying to combat a very serious epidemic here, that is prescription drugs, and how just prescription drugs now have been running rampant without any regards to the after effect that was going on here. You see in the commercials about drugs for many symptoms. Yes, they have to give you the side effect, but that's pretty much they are forced by law. It doesn't necessarily mean that doctors actually monitor and make sure that patients don't overdo it, nor do even the patient themselves are honest in terms of the symptoms they're going through and the side effect they're going through. Needless to say is that painkillers, especially within the cases that other stores have suffered through, is very addictive and can be very fatal if abused. And a lot of times we have seen the very deadly and end results. We see it with many of the stars, and now we're even hearing it to a point where I'm getting to the point where this is how informative these doctors are telling these people who take these type of medications, how addictive they are, what signs they're using, what signs they're looking at in terms of whether they are being addictive and what they're doing to stop it. New York had recently passed a law just last week, and it's actually took effect right now, where every prescription medication is digitized, which means doctors are no longer allowed to have written papers as the form of description. Everything has to be put in the computer, and the reason they're doing this is because number one, they want to stop people from getting drugs from one pharmacy, then using that same ticket to get the same medication they just gotten from the other pharmacies. They're trying to curb down as much as possible. There's a campaign in Jersey right now, New Jersey, that they are trying to inform people that the dangers of having prescription drugs in the house, that people do stash drugs of these time in the house. Many people always want to say the war on drugs, which is the common thing, cocaine, crack, and etc. But there's also another war that is going on that we tend to overlook because, again, prescription drugs don't have that same category, but they are just as deadly and have a very strong consequences if not kept in check. And a lot of things I'm always questioning is, one, who's prescribing these drugs and are they responsible to prescribe these drugs? And two, just how much is enough, and how these pharmaceuticals are making sure that the same patient don't come back again and again and again getting these same drugs they just gotten 2 days ago. So this is the topic we're going to be talking about. We're going to use examples of stars who have fallen victim to painkillers, as well as some personal views, myself, Johnson included, about how they deal with this with medication that looks harmless, but it can happen and potentially be addictive and deadly if misused. Another thing I'm also going to bring up is how some of these actors who generally live good lives are often branded as junkies because of this, and sometimes it's not fair because why they take them, and the reason behind why they take them is the very reason why they got addicted in the first place. We should be talking about that, especially some examples of former stars who have passed on, and they talk about their own personal battles through their own lips. And I will find some clips and leave links for you guys to look at. But it's very important that I feel that we discuss it. I will discuss it more here, but I feel that in order to give it true justice, it needs to be in depth. And what better way to do that than J&J a Monday? So keep in mind, it's going to be a PSA thing, but I feel it's very, very important to get that kind of information out, to get that kind of stuff rolling, because prescription drugs, they do have consequences. They can be addictive and not kept in check. They can be fatal, and it's not just the movie stars who suffers this. There are a lot of people, individual people, hardworking people who also suffers that as well. So those are the stuff I'm going to be talking about as the days and weeks goes by, because again, we're not going to hear the end of Prince, what causes death. We're not going to hear the end of China. There's a whole lot of stuff going on, and it's important that we keep tabs of this, not just because they're stolen, but because we may know some loved ones who's dealing with with this issue. So let's just get down to some stories at hand, because I got a lot to say, and I'll start off with the story that I've read just recently about John Wayne. Now, John Wayne, everybody knows, is one of the famous Western actors, even though he's done other stuff outside of the Western genre. He's one of those famous actors that a lot of people admire, respect, love. He is an icon that is always poured all over the televisions. No question, he had a deep impact in Hollywood, to the point where California wanted to dedicate an official day to him, John Wayne Day, on his birthday. This was done by a Republican congressman, I believe, and he was so sure that just the name alone, he automatically would get the okay to have a John Wayne Day. Well, that did not happen. It was struck down. And the reasoning why it struck down was actually, it's just as more interesting as to the reason why he even brought it up. He was struck down of a comment that John Wayne had made years ago, I believe in the 60s or 70s, and it pretty much describes how he felt about minorities in the country. Now, keep in mind here, folks, I'm going to throw this out there right now, because I know there's a lot of fans of John Wayne. I don't really care what he said back in the past. It's in the past. To hold a grudge on someone who, one, I didn't even follow that big to begin with, to the point where I just didn't really care about most of his movies, except for two, because that's the one two I watched, is kind of hypocritical on my part. I don't know what he was when he died. For all I know, he may have a change of thought. May have, people do change over time, so we don't know how long between that and his death that has happened. With that being said, I want to make this very, very clear. All right, I have a different view of why this should not have been a big deal to begin with, and why I felt this senator should never even bring it up. But let's get to the real controversy here. This was a long debate in their cabinet, and the reason why it was a long debate was because of the comment he said, pretty much, end quote, "I'm for white supremacy." That he does not believe to give minorities, blacks, any type of power when they're not educated. When they learn to be responsible, then come back to me. These were his words. These were very surprising words, because like I said, Big Black Hat Man, who was from Attic Expression, had mentioned some stuff that he said, and it wasn't very kind towards minorities. I didn't know he had that. But again, I seen it and said, that's interesting, but whatever. It happened in the past. That was his view in the past. And by the way, he wasn't the only one who felt that way during those times. Keep in mind, it was a very, very, very heated time. A lot of racial issues was going on. A lot of very intense situation was going on. So hearing him say that really doesn't shock me. Disappoint me? Yeah, but you know what? Again, it's very, very little I can say for a person I haven't followed. I saw two of his movies. That's as high as I'm going to get with that, and that's the link I'm going to go with it. However, there are a lot of people who idolize him, who respect him, who love his work, and love what he does. And obviously, the senator who has proposed this has is one of them. Now, keep in mind here, guys, that Texas has a day for him. I don't know if it was done officially by the state or is something that has been unofficial that everybody celebrates, but they do celebrate it in Texas. California wanted to do it official, like the official state day for him, in honor of John Wayne. And because of those controversial figures and because of what controversial words, that has been struck down, completely struck down. Um, I'm gonna say it straight up, guys. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it honest. I'm gonna keep it right down to earth here. I don't think they should have dedicated a day, and the reason why is they don't need to dedicate a day. If you want to celebrate the man's legacy, the state should not have that free reign to do so. And then not just for John Wayne, it's for most of the celebrities who, for some odd reason, we want to give a special day to. We don't need to go that far. If you want to celebrate Elvis Presley's legacy, I have no beef with that. Go and celebrate his legacy, his music. The same way with John Wayne. His birthday's coming. You want to celebrate his birthday. You want to remember his birthday. You want to embrace his birthday. Fine, that's great. That's wonderful. But I don't think you need to dedicate an entire official state day to him. First of all, I believe strongly if you're going to dedicate something to someone, it had to have real strong significance. In American history. They made such a deep impact, not just for one, but for everyone. So deep that that is going to be known for ages what they accomplished. I'm saying this. I'm giving you a perfect example. Martin Luther King. I'm giving examples of Washington, Lincoln. I'm giving an example of those figures because they made emotional impact. They made a big imprint towards American history and our lives, which we still feel today. So, to me, I have no problem with celebrating and having a national holiday here. Now, granted, the Senate's not having a national, they're not going to put a national holiday. He's not saying that everybody should take a day off to embrace John Wayne. But we got to be honest here. That's the main reason why I feel you don't need the state to say, let's declare this day John Wayne Day. You don't have to have the state to do that. You can simply celebrate John Wayne the way it is. And I don't think anybody will have a problem with that. And having this as one of the major issues of the talking point instead of dealing with some important things like housing and employment and other stuff that I can think that a lot of people think more important. This is small talk and shouldn't even be big news. So to me, I just think that the senator who's making this big deal and saying it's political pondering, maybe it is, but you know what? It shouldn't have been an issue in the first place because it shouldn't have been brought up. To me, celebrate the guy's legacy. The day is coming, his birthday comes out, celebrate it, enlighten it, show him marathon his movies. Have a convention dedicated to him. God knows they have a lot of stuff merchandise sold on a daily basis in time of life. Do that. I don't care. But to me, just having it as a major holiday or a major day and have it a state declared as an official major day is just basically wasting people's time and even wasting people's resources. And I'm not just saying this for John Wayne. I'm saying for anyone. Look, in particular, who yeah, we love and we cherish, but to have a day and have something dedicated to him just because you're a fan, not really the best of reason to do so. That's just my opinion, okay? And it's not just John Wayne, it was anyone. Keep in mind, Prince passed away. They want to dedicate a street to him. I don't really care for that. I really don't. I'm being honest. So, I think that people already shown their love for him, and this is my thing, no disrespect to Prince, but I think people have already shown their love for him by playing his music in the streets, by listening to his music, Radio City Music Hall, by re-showing Purple Rain, which is actually playing in one of my Brooklyn theaters. That's something that I think that, in all honesty, that's how you can remember the guy more so than just naming a day and having the states declare this as an official day or holiday. That's to me, that's more significant than that. My opinion, you guys may disagree. I'd like to hear your opinion on that. But I'm moving right on because I will be making this again because, again, this is one of the things that has to be uh, talked about. This is pretty much a comic book talk 360. Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers. And I'm kind of glad I'm seeing this for the first time because it does feel like uh, that Zack Snyder's, actually saying, you know what, yeah, this was not my actual idea, but whatever. He's almost like he's distancing himself to a degree. But if you hear the story, and I'm going to go on, this is not just the only film that had a problem here. I'm gonna read the article here. It's been a rough few months for Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers in the lead up to the subsequent release of Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Despite making 850 million worldwide, the film was destroyed by critics and audiences, and is looking to be a huge money loss for the studios against a giant production budget and a whopping marketing spend. It was reported yesterday that Seth Graham Smith have left The Flash, and I want to get that to the minute. Producers cited creative differences, and new rumors today suggest there is more wars going on the DC universe. According to Birth Movie's Death, Snyder and Warner Brothers had a lot of fights over directing of Justice League, which is currently in production in London, and his version for the rest of the DC universe, which is known as DCEU. The sources at WB tells me that this is just one part of what's going on behind the scenes at DC Movie Universe. The site claims Zack Snyder and Griff Jones were taken aback at the critical and audience reaction to Batman vs Superman. I'm told that the WB executives have found themselves at odds with Snyder and his vision of Justice League, and the DC movieverse is going forward. Of course, with the Justice League, was scheduled to start shooting mere days after BVS was released, which meant WB couldn't take any definitive action like removing Snyder or denying the movie or to make changes without poisoning the box office for BVS. As a result, lots of fights between Snyder and WB executives and lots of pressure from Barebacks and Snyder, who is shooting in London. This also comes off the back of reports that James Wan is having some worries about directing Aquaman for the studio. Let also forget that Michelle McCann left the director's chair for Wonder Woman over creative before being replaced by Patty Jenkins. The article also concludes that, however, it should also be noted that BMD hasn't had the best track record as of late when their reports, although they were correct that Suicide Squad was having reshoots and said it was to add more humor, which Dave Oyer denies. This will buy a lot of stuff here about the Flash movie, which is not going to be anywhere in conjunction with the Flash TV show, which I still kind of don't get why they won't connect the two together, but whatever. Different universe, different properties, and they want to keep it separate. I get it. Here's the point with this whole thing. I'll call it like it is. One, this was a poorly. I'm gonna keep it real, and for those who wondering why I haven't done the part 2 yet, it is coming. I promise you. It's just when you do 5 recordings on something and it keeps getting you angrier and angrier to the point where all you're doing is just basically ranting. There is no definitive point lines. You're just screaming and yelling. You just got to take a break and move away from the movie. I gave the movie 2 stars. I explained my reason why I gave it 2 stars. I'm not alone why I gave this movie 2 stars. There was a lot of stuff I liked. The Batman betrayal was good, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't like how they betrayed Superman, how they basically wasted a golden opportunity to really flush out all the characters instead of just one. But let's be honest here. This film was poorly edited, um, poorly put together, and the script was sloppily written. And coming from David S. Goyer, that says a lot. Let's just keep it real. This was not a good film at all. If you wanted to see Batman and Superman fight and that's it, then you probably got your money's worth. So hearing this and wondering how Warner Brothers always react to criticism and their history, it doesn't shock me. What shocked me is that Warner Brothers seems to want to move away from from the Zack Snyder's vision, more so now than ever. And to me, I can only blame Zack Snyder for so much. Yeah, I think he didn't do a very good job of the film. Yes, I felt he wanted to make an R-rated version, was chopped down for marketing reasons for PG-13. The same thing goes with Suicide Squad, which I still argue today that it should never be a PG-13 because there's nothing PG-13 about seeing villains in action. But again, that's my opinion. My thing about this is that as much as I want to blame Snyder, Warner Brothers still holds the weight because again, Warner Brothers slash DC have reacted to the success of Marvel and decided to rush a film that was not well flushed out. And to me, that's where I feel the crime is. 3 years, you haven't flushed out a script. You rushed this film in hopes that to gain more money, and you did gain money. You're planning to lose money in the marketing department, but you did made a lot of money. It's not like you didn't, it didn't hurt you. You're still moving forward Justice League, but it brings the question of what their plan is now. It really reactivates the question. Will Flash be done correctly? Will Wonder Woman be done correctly? And a lot of this creative differences is becoming a huge problem where it brings questions to the fans of whether or not you can actually do a great property. It's only questions of how Dawn of Justice is going to be done, especially how you end that film. The only good light we see here is that Ben Affleck, who has paid his dues and has shown that he's not only a great director but a good actor, is directing the upcoming Batman movie, which thank God there's a guy who's going to be committed. You can tell that and I have no worries about him getting it right. He played Batman fantastically, and I think a lot of people really embrace this new darker, grittier Batman. I think the problem with Warner Brothers is they want to have the cake and eat too. Batman, Superman, you can tell this was a lot of Frank Miller style to it, and again, I have a problem with that. But when it becomes too apparent, where you're seeing more Batman and you're basically just mistreating, and I'm just gonna call it like it is, disrespecting the Man of Steel, is definitely there. Now, how this would be with the Flash, because the Flash is also on this article as well. I honestly don't know how it's gonna work. I honestly don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they're doing. According to this article, the Flash would have been a feature-directed debut of a director. He's a rookie director who authored and wrote the screenplay for Pride and Prejudice and Zombie, which I will be seeing. I will be giving a review that in due time. Graham Smith wrote the script for The Flash based on the treatment of Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, Ezra Miller, and is starring as the speedy superhero, also known as Barry Allen, and was introduced in Walter's Batman and Superman Dawn of Justice, which disappointed the box office, which is not true at all. It didn't disappoint the box office. I'm tired when people say it didn't disappoint. You want to say it disappointed with audiences? Fine, but stop saying it disappointed the box office. It made its money. Warner Brothers has set Flash to be released on March 3rd of 2018, so it may not have to shift that date should it be able to get another director on board soon. Miller has also appeared as the Flash in Justice League Part 1, which is being shoot this month with Zack directing. Hopefully, depending on what's going on, because a lot of rumblings is definitely there. The Flash creator originated during the 1950s when police science Barry Allen gained super speed with when battered by chemicals that has been struck by lightning. Um, Graham is a writer on Studio Lego's Batman movie, which I will talk about, and his work on his Beatles sequel, which has been on and off for a while, so I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But Warner Brothers face a similar situation with director departing from key DC properties over the creative differences a year ago, when Michael Mignola left Wonder Woman and was replaced 2 days later by Packer Jenkins. Wonder Woman is due to be open in 2017, so there's a whole lot of problems they have in here. Now, creative differences, who knows what that means? Do they have a brand they want to go for, which, from what I'm in, which I think anybody can see that they want to be a darker, more grittier, more in your face, movie company versus the dark yet colorful yet funny, yet um, humor of Marvel. So I guess they want to be that polar opposite of that. But there's too many signs of too many guys quitting over creative differences, which either tell me two things: that one, that DC is keeping a tight grip on what they want to see, and what they can and cannot do. Because a lot of directors get very, very picky, um, or it just means that the directors who have the property, simply want to go in a different direction that doesn't feel like a comic book movie, which can often often spell one or two things. A great film like Christopher Nolan, which Christopher Nolan, let's be realistic here. As much as I love the Christopher Nolan trilogy, it didn't really follow the same formula of the Batman comic book lore as many people predicted. In fact, it actually pulled away from that, and it worked. Um, do you think DC want to go back to that? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. But whatever it is, they're not giving that much free reign to these directors after they did Christopher Nolan. And I think the reason why they gave more Christopher Nolan more power is because, one, DC was desperate at the time. A lot of stuff they were pulling out was simply wasn't working. The only thing that actually was they had going for them at the moment was actually Smallville, and that was it. Like Smallville in the animated department. If you look at the live action department, it was in the dumps. It was dead in the water. And so you see this here, and you see how they are approaching this from what they used to be doing. Because Warner Brothers, let's be honest, if you look at some of the bad comic books, they're right up on that list. Superman 4, Superman 3, Batman Return, not Batman Return, Batman and Robin, and all because they had an idea of marketing first before making a good movie. Meaning, let's sell the toys. Don't worry about the movie; it'll sell itself, and we already know how that happened. So I think they're trying to not do that. They're not trying to be that colorful thing anymore. I think they want to be dark, but at the same time they want to keep the essence of the comic book together. Now again, I could be wrong. For what I know is there's too many guys who think they know what they're doing, don't know what they're doing, just giving you decisions and creative ideas of how to happen. Keep in mind, Columbia Pictures have made the same mistake twice with Spider-Man when they crumbled all these stories in, thinking that that's what the crowd wants, when all they really want was a good, strong story to follow up in. So that could also happen too. So there's a lot of stuff about that, but again, never fail for DC. They always find a way to bring this up into a light, and never in a good way. I'm hoping this is just reactions that to a movie that didn't please a lot of people, and I'm hoping that they don't over jump the gun where they can make things a lot more worse, where any future movies they want to have moving forward could get trampled because of because fencing ideas that really shouldn't have been in their film in the first place. I'll leave that up to you guys to talk about. I'll leave it up to what you have to say about it. But I'm moving on to Will Ferrell, a name I never really talk about too much in my stories, but I have to talk about it here because this is the one time I have to applaud him for not taking this job, because I was very uncomfortable when I heard that he was offered this here. It says Will Ferrell pulled out a Ronald Reagan bio aimed at Alzheimer's controversy. Now, You don't know, well, Ronald Reagan, God rest his soul, had Alzheimer's disease in his last years of his life. He died from it. And not just long ago, Nancy Reagan had passed away from natural causes. Um, Will Ferrell was offered a script, and he said, uh, and he pretty much turned it down. He had considered it, but he turned it down. Now, this is from the Huff Post. I'm gonna read a little bits of it, and then I'm gonna give my own feeling on it because it is very interesting. They would never see Will Ferrell play Ronald Reagan, depending on the political learning and pendant of Will Ferrell's brand of humor. The news might be met with welcome relief, seen as an unfortunate uh, concussion of political correctness. On Wednesday, Variety exclusively announced that Will Ferrell was attached to the star Reagan in a blacklisted script penned by Mark Losolo about the former president's second term in office, where he was reported to begin to experience symptom of dementia. The plot centered on a young intern who must convince Reagan that he is an actor playing the president in a movie. Uh, if Ferrell's doing his Reagan best wasn't doing his Reagan best wasn't enough to ignite the lure of white wingers, the comedic take on Alzheimer's disease pushed the director pushed the detachers over the edge. According to page 6, Ferrell is not pushing this project aimed at controversy. Reagan was just one of the number of scripts that has been submitted to Reagan, which he had considered, said the spokesman for the actor. When the news of the project broke, members of the Reagan family immediately condemned the film as not only disrespectful to the late president, but also um, effort afforded all who suffer from Alzheimer's. This was done by, I think, Reagan's daughter, Patty Davis, I believe, penned in an open letter an actor on her website, imploring him to think twice before poking fun at the tragic disease. Alzheimer's doesn't care if you're the president of the United States or a dock worker. She wrote, I watched as fear invaded my father's eyes. I heard his voice tremble as he stood in the living room and said, I don't know where I'm at. I am. I watched helplessly as he reached for memories, for words that were suddenly out of reach and moving further away. For 10 long years, he had drifted past the memories that marked his life, past all that was familiar of him, and miraculously finally past the fear. Reagan's son expressed similar sentiments on Twitter, describing the film as an outrage and how all involved should be ashamed. And that was the article here. Now, again, there was a report that Will Ferrell was not doing this, and to be fair to Will Ferrell and to be fair in the situation, I don't think he was trying to insult the president or anybody else on Alzheimer's disease. And they are absolutely right. Being a person who was growing up with my grandmother, who also sadly have suffered Alzheimer's disease, I know the feeling. So I can understand wholeheartedly why the family would go and pretty much go on a rant like they did. Because again, Alzheimer's is no joke. Those who had family who or know someone who's dealing with the situation know how painful and how it can tear someone apart, knowing that the person who raised you don't even know who you are, don't even recognize you. That's a very, very painful thing. And they're trying to find resources on Alzheimer's. They're trying to understand it better and combat it better. But it's very, very, it is very, very heartbreaking to see that happen. And I can completely understand that. I'm also going to go on and say it right here. I'm happy that the movie, for the most part, might not be made. Might. This doesn't mean that those in comedy may want to poke fun at Reagan for other reasons, but I think that if you're going to be mindful about the comedic effect you're trying to do, because again, I understand comedy comes from pain. There's nowhere around it. You see these guys who do stand up. A lot of reason why we laugh at the jokes they say, because in many ways we can relate to what they're going through. We have ourselves kind of gone through it, and we're laughing at the stuff that's going on. Now, I've never seen a great comedy where they don't use stuff that is based on actual real events. On the Family, I consider it to be number one greatest comedy of all time, and the stuff they was talking about really hit on close to home today in terms of racial barriers, racial issues, equal opportunity, you name it. That show really hits a tone, and we laugh because we see Archie Bunker with his bigotry being as idiotic about the stuff that's going on. But then again, we know people who think this way. We know people who act this way. Richard Pryor is a perfect example. Man, personally, we laugh at some of the stuff he's saying, but we really had to stop and take a look at. He's actually telling you guys his life story, what he went through, what he have done, and basically showing his pain to the whole world, making you guys laugh at his pain. This is some of the stuff that happened. Comedy is not always about laughter. It's about laughing for the pain of what another person has gone through, and it can be very uncomfortable. Yes, but it is. But comedy is never meant to be that comfortable. There are people who laugh stuff that they know deep down and say this is offensive, but he's making it laugh. And the perfect person who mastered this, ironically, is one of Quintino. A lot of his films, you see these actors, they're acting, a lot of people get mad at because of the offensive words, but in reality this was what it was back in the days. These were some of the people who think that way, and he did it in such a strange fashion you cannot help but laugh because he's saying it's outrageous. This is what I mean. But that being said, yes, I cannot, or by any means, say that the Reagan family could be offensive. More so on the fact is that that somebody's poking fun at someone's deteriorating mind happening, and I think that's something that I think that the studios need to be very careful with. I know they're saying we can't be politically correct all the time, but in this case, you need to understand that a lot of people, not just the Reagans, but a lot of people out there are suffering for this disease. And trust me, it's no laughing matter. It is not a fun thing. And with that, I closed out with this. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys any suggestions of stories you want me to look up and looking forward to, please be my guest. You have until at least Friday to do so. I will be looking and checking my emails every now and then. I will be checking the comment section every now and then. As long as you leave me a link, as long as I can get a link to it, I will look it up. So give me a full opinion on this, as well as anything else you've seen. And until next time, J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.